right, you guys. So I basically wanted to come out here and discuss this whole DJ Academics situation with him going on a record calling all of the hip hop pioneers dusty. And I want to pick apart this conversation and really just show, two different sides of each story. Now, me personally, in my personal opinion, I want to share my thoughts about it, but I wanted to basically explain to you guys what was said and what he said about the pioneers of hip hop. So he decided to do a live stream and he came out calling the pioneers of hip hop dusty, saying that anytime, it's for verbatim, anytime you see any old school hip hop artists that's trying to give out advice, basically they're very dusty, they're disheveled, they don't have anything, minimizing their opinion to not being of anything because they don't currently have money right now. Even though they were a founder, it don't matter that they were a founder because they don't have money. That's pretty much what it was coming off as. And that's what he pretty much said. And it was just more vulgar. He was cursing and stuff and, throwing around the N-word like he always do because he doesn't have much of a vocabulary. But we're going to move forward with that. So long story short, after he says that, LL Cool J replies back and basically told him, like, don't get it twisted. Don't try to base someone's importance of hip-hop culture on their wallet, which essentially means that just because a person isn't wealthy right now doesn't mean that they didn't contribute to hip-hop. Hip-hop is over 50 years old. So let's just talk about the age gap, all right? 50 years ago, hip-hop was created for the most part. Hip-hop started in the late 1970s off of block parties and where DJs would play music and people would, hang out in the city, in the Bronx. And, they started to pick up microphones and it turned into a culture, right? Originally, this was not a thing where it was, let me capitalize off of this. Let me make this corporate. Let me do this, this, and this. It's kind of like you just getting up in the morning, you saying, you know what, if you go out to a nightclub, just like they had discos back in the 70s and stuff like that, in the 60s and clubs like that, you would go out and you would have a good time. And these block parties that was going on in New York City developed into something much deeper because the DJs started to do special tricks and started to present other people up and introduce these talents who went from doing basically poetry to it being rapping, what they considered rapping on top of an instrumental beat, and this turned into an actual culture where people was actually doing it to unite each other, to unite Black people. And I think the problem is with academics and with this generation of people, everything is about money. And there's so many people running around here that's so soulless that all they care about is money, right? And I think that, and I'm going to get further into it because so much to decipher, but I when he was just basically talking about this guy is saying he contributed to hip hop culture, but look at him, he's so dusty. Are you sure? Because, everybody's looking way better than you. And it's like, this is something that started over 50 years ago. That means like the oldest contributor to hip hop that's out there right now could be in their, who knows, their 80s, their 70s. It could be very old. And let's just keep it real. It's hard enough for most people to hang on to their last paycheck for a full month. You're telling me that the people from 50 years ago are supposed to be so rich and wealthy off of some money they made 50 years ago? Like they didn't have bills and stuff to pay? Like it just sounds so ignorant. And the thing is that hip hop did not start off as a business. It didn't start off as corporate. It started off as fun. It started off as something to do for the Black community, for the Hispanic community to get up, get out of their house and unite people and really, shake things up in a positive way. It was a way for people to unite and find enjoyment in the midst of all of the crap that was going on in the United States in regards to just being Black. The 70s is on the heels of the civil rights movement in the 1960s and 50s. We were going through decades, and that's not too far off from each other. You're dealing with a decade filled with trauma. With us dealing with the assassination of Martin Luther King, we're dealing with our Black leaders being taken out left and right. And Black people decided up north to unite each other by having these block parties, by scratching on the ones and twos and bringing out their vinyl and trying to find fun in tragedy. that has happened to black people since the beginning of them being in the United States. And it's developed into something. But it wasn't about the dollar originally, right? It wasn't about that. It was about really just having fun. But the forefathers of hip hop seen an opportunity, right? They seen an opportunity and they took a chance. And the reason why they took the chance is because most black folks in America comes from nothing. We come from nothing. And when I say we come from nothing, we come from slavery. We come from having to live in like basically near to nothing, living like animals, being treated like animals, living in shacks made of wood. We didn't have money. We didn't have opportunity as a minority in America. And these forefathers took this thing that was something to unite the black culture and call out the issues that was going on in the black culture and decided to create record labels like Sugar Hill Records and things of that nature. All right. And it just bothers me that Akademiks would sit here and be so disrespectful about these men's and women's contribution to our culture. Because without these people, I wouldn't be talking on the microphone. He wouldn't be talking on the microphone. He wouldn't be able to pretend that he's a DJ. To even speak on the microphone and act like and pretend to be a DJ. If it wasn't for these people who decided to try to use their voice to unite their own people. Now, I'm talking about the very beginning origins of hip hop. The most important part of hip hop originally was the DJ. The DJ took the music that was previously mixed from soul records and all of this stuff to create a new sound. And they would scratch. And they brought in so many different elements of soul and black culture and Latino culture, because Latinos were a part of this as well, to unite a borough, to unite a city, to unite the world. All right? And they were not getting paid for it, because it was a block party. But they decided to turn it into a business. Because back then, there was not that many opportunities for black people to make money. There was not many opportunities for black people to make money. And they seen this idea and they said, hey, maybe if we work together, because the thing that bothered me about his conversation is he's spewing out this ignorance, saying that these people didn't come together to create a coalition and this, and all y'all getting fucked over. The coalition was the foundation of hip hop. They sat there and said, hey, brother, I see that you have this talent. I see that you know how to spin these records from the 60s and 70s and turn it into something new. Hey, sister, I see that you have a voice there. You have some type of poetic talent. You have a spoken word talent. And, when you speak on the beat, it just feels so good. It's not soul music per se, because we're not singing, but we are expressing our pain. And we are expressing our thoughts, and we're creating something here, and people are enjoying it. So how about we take this another step, take this a bigger step forward here, and turn this into something where we can monetize it to help our people get out of the hood. To help our people get out of the hood. You understand? And with that, on the heels of the beginning of hip hop in the late 1970s and the early 80s, you are speaking about something so amazing coming from that. Something that's unheard of coming from that it helped to change the landscape for the black community. All right? Now let's get to this, because during the 80s, there was a lot of things that happened. And it started with the crack era. A lot of people died because of drug use. A lot of people died from overdose, from crack, cocaine, gangs and affiliations, shootings, and things of that nature. And hip-hop decided, these hip-hop artists and this culture decided to use the culture to try to tell people about the dangerous things going on in the neighborhood, to have a voice, to have a political voice, to speak out against the things that was going on in their communities that they were not here for. See, these current rappers, most of them are not rappers. They're gangsters. And when I say gangsters, I'm not talking about old school gangsters. They're gang members that decided to go into rapping to wash their money. Let's just keep it real. And that's not me judging people. You got to do what you got to do. But let's just keep it real. These hip-hop artists that came out in the late 80s, these were people that really wanted to make it out. These are people that really wanted to speak up and help their communities, for the most part. Now, you can go through a couple of people that you know are predators or allegedly are predators, done things to kids and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that realm in the music industry. But what we're focusing on right now is the overall purpose of hip-hop in the culture. Okay? And these people, these founders of hip-hop, which LL Cool J is a founder of hip-hop. LL Cool J's been writing rhymes since he was 10 years old. LL Cool J was one of the first. Run DMC was actually the first to really go platinum, but they were all a part of the same label, Def Jam. One of the first rappers to go platinum. One of the first rappers to go gold. One of the first rappers to hit 100,000 sales on one single. And we're not talking about downloads. We're talking about people getting their ass up, walking down to a record label and buying the record. Not all this lazy stuff that you guys be doing. And for anybody wondering how old I am 31. I'm a part of Akademiks generation. I'm a part of all the young cats generation. But I have an old soul. You understand me? And I've been around this since I was a kid. So it's just so amazing to me for Akademiks to come out here and say the things that he said. To say the things that he said about the founders of hip-hop and say LL Cool J is not a founder, one of the founders of hip-hop. You gotta be fucking kidding me. You have to be kidding me. To me, and I'm gonna tell you guys this. I sat there and I watched his stream in entirety. Outside of the clips that was shared to social media that you guys seen on my page, make sure you guys follow me. This is DJ Jayerica Podcast. I'm on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Follow me everywhere. He was basically explaining his own journey and talking about things that he had to go through in the industry and how people didn't want to rock with him. People didn't want to be bothered with him. And he had to fight his way through as a DJ, and I say that loosely, to get to where he's at right now. But let's just keep it real. Akademiks gained his fame off of the backs of the dead. He was reporting on all of the shootings and murders going on in Chicago. They was calling it Chirac. He was building his brand off of that, off of negativity, off of the death of others that's still going on right now as we speak. I could literally put a link at the end of my video to show you guys how many hip-hop artists in this generation, in this current decade of the 2020s, who've been killed and murdered, assassinated by their own people in the name of drill music, this new genre of hip-hop that's being pushed by people like DJ Akademiks. Now, look, don't get it twisted. Hip-hop has had we have had violent incidences where we've lost, hip-hop artists. But for the most part in the 80s, there was barely little to none, violent incidences in hip-hop where people were murdered except for one individual. One of the first to get killed. All right? And I'm not going to say his name. I'm pretty sure you guys know who I'm talking about, but I want to respect the deceased. But we had went through a genre, for the most part, back in the day where murdering and killing each other was not the cool. This current generation of hip-hop artists thinks it's cool to kill each other, but they feel like they're smarter because they have more money than somebody who made a few dollars 50 years ago. Well, let's just say something real quick. At least they're alive. Okay? And this ain't no respect to the dead or nothing. But let's just keep it real. This current culture is killing these rappers, killing these women, children, regular people that's just part of the hood. They're getting killed. It is genocide happening because these so-called quote-unquote rappers, because I don't even consider them rappers. They're literally gang members who decided to go ahead and flip their money to become an artist. And it comes back to haunt them most of the time. And then the poor little bit of art, the small amount of artists that's not a part of the gang, unfortunately, they become glossy. They show their jewelry all over the place. They're dropping their locations all over the place. They're doing all of this stuff. And they're getting killed. They're getting killed. All because of what? Money? Because of money? Well, I'm sorry. I'd rather... To hear the rest of this podcast, join me right now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You guys, I want to tell you the full story, but I got to follow the guidelines. So come on and join me right now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Link is in the description, below, above, wherever you're watching, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube. Hit the link in the description, above, below. The link is in the bio right now. So go ahead and click it. Catch you guys on the next one.